Welcome to the info session on International Trading Program at NTU. I'd like to just give all of you a rundown in terms of what the international program at NTU is essentially all about. It was started, or rather initiated by the Center of Excellence in International Trading, the CEIT. CEIT was established in 2015 as a collaboration between three entities. The first, of course, is NTU. The second is the Enterprise Singapore. And last but not least, we have a bunch of corporate partners who are in the commodity trading space. So within the NTU, it's also an internal collaboration between the College of Business, which is Nanyang Business School, and the College of Engineering. So at the onset, right, CEIT was a center, right, established by these three entities. And part of the initiatives for CEIT essentially was to introduce the International Trading Program. The objective of the International Trading Program, ITP, is really to try to nurture the talent for the commodity trading sector in Singapore. So if you think about commodities, right, you're really thinking about the three broad sectors there, right? One, of course, you have energy, right? The second one, you have agriculture. And the third one, you have metals. All right. So energy would be like oil and gas. Agriculture, you can think about palm oil. You can think about rubber. You can think about wheat, right? And then when it comes to metals, you're thinking about iron ore. You can think about copper. Think about gold, right? So the whole intention of ITP essentially is to try to nurture, right, talents for the commodity trading sector in Singapore, and hopefully, right, for the region ultimately. So what we want to do is to introduce a program that is able to equip students with both the technical knowledge as well as the skills to be somewhat desk ready when they start the career in commodities trading. Okay, so let me just give you a rundown in terms of where the relationship between the corporate partners and the university now stands. So if I were to include Enterprise Singapore, which is a government organization tasked with developing the industries in Singapore, right now we have, and this is not so updated, right now we have 41 corporate partners instead of 40. And we have about 500 students in the program. Right. And in this particular program, right, we break it down into two parts, right? One are what we call specialization, and the other one are minor. So you can actually do this program as a specialization when you join the university, or you can do it as a minor. Okay. So let's start with the specialization, if you will. So the program, as I said, is a collaboration between the College of Engineering as well as the business school. So if I were to step back a little bit in terms of why we have this internal collaboration, part of the reasons is really to have that diversity. Right. So as some of you may already know, that SMU actually also have a international trading program that was established a lot longer than NTU's. I think it started maybe about maybe for the last 15 years or so already, around that period. And the reason why Enterprise Singapore and the corporate partners came to NTU and asked us to start a similar competing program is because the industry realized that most of the students that come out of the program from SMU were essentially cut from the same cloth. So there was very little diversity. And specifically, the industries were looking for students with engineering background. All right. Because if you think about trading commodities, right, you really need to understand, right, the entire value chain behind commodities, and having some engineering skills will come in extremely handy. All right. So these corporate partners decided to approach NTU and say, look, since you guys have engineering department as well, could you design a program like that? Right. And that's how basically, the program started at NTU. So the ITP actually takes students from three divisions, right? So we take students from the business school, all right? And these students are essentially students who will be specializing in banking and finance, right? So what happened is that they will go into banking and finance and then decide that, look, once they're in there, all right, they will then, specialize in international trading. But there are also students who come from engineering, right? And from engineering, they come from what we call a group of students that also have a second major in business. All right. So you major in engineering, let's say you major in chemical engineering, and at the same time, you're majoring in business. And your business major, as such, is specializing in international trading. All right. And the third group of people forming part of this engineering community actually are from what we call our maritime studies group. So maritime studies like shipping, logistic, and all these are actually within the College of Engineering, right? But, it kind of sits as a specialized field dealing with logistic and shipping, warehousing, shipping, etc., bunkering, and all these things. So if you think about that, right, you have a group of students, right, who will also come from maritime studies. So if you look at maritime studies, there are people who are specializing in international trading, right, as well as, right, students who are also doing maritime study as a major and business as a major, but specializing in international trading. Okay, so if you look at the specialization profile, you from business school, you largely come from banking and finance. From engineering, right, you will have to come from a double major, and from shipping, you can just come from, either take it directly or take it as a double major in business. We also realize that if we want to cast our net a little bit wider to attract more students into the program, it would be good if the students can do it as a minor. All right. So, for example, if you're an accounting student in a business school and you say, look, in addition to being an accountant, specializing in accounting rather, right, I also want to minor in international trading. Okay. Or if you were a student in material science, right, you say, oh, I would also do a minor rather in international trading, right, without being in a double major program, right? So the minor provides students with the option of doing doing ITP, right, while continuing to specialize in just one area. Okay, so that's what the minor is. Now, so some of you may wonder, what is the difference between the minor and the major in terms of what they have to study? Well, if you are specializing in banking and finance, right, then there will be a bunch of courses that you must take, right, in addition to these courses, these ITP courses, as you can see here, right, there's a bunch of ITP courses that I would explain in a little bit detail shortly. So, for example, if you're specializing in international trading within a business school, you will have to, and doing international trading program, you will have to take derivatives, you will have to take corporate finance, etc., in addition to these courses that you see, these ITP courses that you see on the screen. But if you're minoring, right? Let's say you're an accounting student and you're minoring in international trading, right? You only need to take these international trading program courses, ITP courses, and your whatever is required, right, from your accounting degree. Okay, so the ITP courses are standard, right, across specializations and minor, right? So whether you're specializing or you're doing a minor in ITP, you must take all these courses. So let me just briefly talk about these courses. So the first one, of course, you will take a course in commodity markets, right? And this course in commodity markets essentially talk about the three segments in commodity, right? You got energy, you got agriculture, and you got metals. And built into this commodity market course are what we call industry seminars. What are they? Industry seminars essentially are seminars that are held by industry specialists. So we could, for example, get someone from a commodity trading company to come and talk, right, about sustainability. Or we can get someone from a trading company to come and talk about technological disruption, right, in the commodity trading sector, okay, or hedge funds in the commodities, or risk management. So these are specialized seminars catering a wider scope of understanding within the commodity market. So it could touch any area, right? But it will be held essentially by industry specialists. To be fair, the courses are also conducted by industry specialists, right? But they're more focused on that market segment, right? And not a specialized kind of topic, if you will, right? So you have industry seminars that are looking at specific topic that perhaps are not covered various segments in energy, in agriculture, or in metals. Okay. Then you have a very important course, which what we call that's related to maritime, right? So we got trade Incoterms and ship chartering, right? As you know, right, commodities trading, right, requires the transportation of all these commodities, warehousing of these commodities, and so this is a very important part of understanding, right, the elements that go into commodities trading. And then you see two important courses. One is commodities trading, another one is risk management, right? So they are somewhat related, of course. You can't really trade without risk management. But this one, the risk management pertains to the risk faced by commodity trading companies. So it could be operational risk, it could be market risk, right, etc. So this managing the risk, this risk is important. But of course, as you trade, right, whether you're trading physical commodities or you're trading in the options and futures market in commodities, right? You always have to take into consideration the risk, right, of the positions and your risk to the company. So these two courses are extremely important for a good understanding in terms of commodity market. Part of these two courses, of course, we would expose, right, students into the tools that are typically used in the financial market, including commodity trading. This will involve things like understanding how to use Bloomberg, knowing how to use Refinitiv, and these are important tools that the market uses to analyze data, to analyze the market, to basically get the news, right, about the dynamics in the commodity market. Then, of course, we also need you to understand international tax and trading law. All right, and as you know, right, any kind of trading, importantly, you got to know the regulation, right? So you got supranational regulators like the WTO, World Trade Organization. You also have country-specific trading laws that you need to abide by, and so that's an important part of understanding, the commodity market as well. Last but not least is a course on financing. Like trade financing is very important, all right. But in addition to trade financing, we're also talking about how you can use various parts of the value chain to construct structured finance, all right, in order to properly, I should say, finance, right, your trades. Okay, so these are the courses that a student specializing in ITP or minoring in ITP will have to do. Now, let me just go on. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the other things just before. So let's talk about the corporate partners, right? So as I mentioned, we're 41 corporate partners, including Enterprise Singapore, right? And if you look at the list of corporate partners that is on the screen right now, you realize that we have, right, all the major companies that are represented in their fields. So, for example, we have Wilmar, we have RGE as important agriculture companies. We have miners like South 32. We have metals company like Shagang. We have energy companies like Shell, BP, British Petroleum, Shell, and Chevron. These are important oil majors. All right. We got also major trading companies like Trafigura, right? So we have many wide scope, of companies spanning the entire group of commodities companies out there. So what do the corporate partners do for us? All right. So a few things I should say. Remember the industry seminar we spoke about, right? So sometimes the corporate partners will come and give talks on the specific company or the specific industry that they're in. They also let our students visit their sites for what we call experiential learning trips. So, for example, you see pre-COVID, right? We have trips to Australia, all right? And in Australia, we get to visit a aluminum mining mining site, and of course, that's one of our corporate partners, South 32, right? And then, of course, we also go and attend many talks, right, by BP, etc., so that the students get to see, right, a global perspective in terms of how commodities trading functions in the market. Now, if you are a miner, you can also go on these trips. So these trips are not only for specialization. There is only one group of people who are given a little bit of a priority, right? This group of people are people who are about to graduate, who have not gone to a trip before. All right. So these are the people who only group of people who have some priority just because of the number of people we can bring over. Okay. So we usually do about 2 trips a year in the past, pre-COVID, right? One trip will be, for example, to Indonesia, where we go and see a palm oil plantation, as well as refinery, shipping, and all these things. So the entire value chain, all right? And typically one trip to Australia. Last year, we were supposed to go to China. So we kind of have a couple of trips a year that will handle about, total about maybe 50 students, or 50 to 60 students, so about I would say 25 to 30 per trip. All right. And in addition to being able to go, even if you're a minor, even if you're minoring in ITP, you will also get just about the same privilege. In other words, all students are subsidized 50% minimally to go to this trip. So if a trip costs $2,000, we will subsidize 50% of that. And depending on your ability to pay the rest, you could get higher subsidies. All right, if we deem it appropriate to do so. Okay, so there is a lot of subsidies around that will enable you to actually take advantage of it if you need all this to go on all these experiential trips. Okay, of course, the only thing is that we want you to graduate in the program. We don't want you to say that, look, I've gone to this trip and halfway through it, after I've taken advantage of the subsidies and all these things, I no longer want to complete the ITP program, right? That will be very unfortunate. That will also be unfair to students who genuinely wanted to go, right, and couldn't go and still wanted to finish the ITP program. So we hope that for students who sign up for this trip, right, they are actually serious about finishing the program. I have a question here that says, what is the intake size for ITP each year? We are targeting about 120 students per year, all right, to graduate. Right. So usually because of the time difference in graduation and all these things, usually we will be taking in about 200 students a year. All right. We're hoping that we're able to divide them equally among the three areas of business school, as well as engineering and maritime studies. All right. So, of course, we also require that students, if they want to do a minor, that they actually register, all right, in the first year when they come in. So in the very first year, right, before you decide what area of specialization you want to go in, for example, accounting, for example, marketing or whatever, all right, we want you to register your interest in ITP. The reason is so that we can track, right? Because as you see, right, we actually provide the same type of access to all students. So we want to be able to track, right, who are the students, how many minor students we are having each year. What is IGP? I'm not so sure. Is that IGP higher than the general business? I'm not so sure what IGP stands for, but I'll just take a guess. I suppose you mean is the selection criteria different for general business? The answer is no. All right. So if you are able to come into the business program, you can always minor in ITP. Okay. If you want to specialize in it, however, usually what we do is that they will only choose that specialization in the second year. All right. In the second year, if you want to specialize in ITP, we hope that there is a requirement of B+ or better for a course called financial management. Okay. But there are always exceptions, right? You can always appeal, and depending on our assessment of your other courses, right, we may decide to take you in even if you don't quite meet that criteria. Okay, so as I mentioned, we also have trips to Indonesia. All right, so you can see that here, right, there's a palm oil. So we will go, the students will know the entire process of, planting the plant itself, right, all the way to refining it into edible oil. And then, of course, how they ship it, how they bring it what's the logistic behind, right, bringing it to the supermarkets and stuff like that. The other thing that our corporate partners do for us, of course, is to offer internships. All right. So the corporate partners are very keen to have our students as their interns because that offers them an ability to assess the students if they want to convert them into full-time staff. Right. So we have two types of internships, of course, right? We have overseas internship, and that was pre-COVID, of course, right? You can actually go overseas to do an internship with some of our overseas corporate partners, or rather our corporate partners with overseas subsidiaries or overseas presence. All right. And of course, you can do it locally as well. All right. So generally, our corporate partners are quite willing to take our students. In terms of graduates, how are they doing? Well, not too bad. I would say that the average salary for the students that finish the program is about 4,500. All right, and some of them, of course, end up in commodity trading companies. We do have a few that end up in banks, right? So financial institutions, right? But most of them will find their job in the commodity trading companies. So it's not a bad industry, right? I should say it's not bad. It's pretty good industry because there's a lot of demand. All right, and Singapore is a major commodity trading hub. Right, energy alone is quite big, right? Agriculture, of course, is quite big as well. Other things that are offered when you join the program, of course, we encourage students to, get involved, right? So there is the International Trading Club, all right, and they organize various events for our students, right? Get engaged with our students and I think in perhaps in March or April, there will be a case study competition where there are prize money to be made if you do well. So and this is also a way for you to engage corporate partners who would perhaps take part in some of these student organized events. Okay. And then, of course, we have we have our awards, right? And our awards $6,000, right? And there are what we hope our students do is become good ambassador for the program, be involved, right, in the program, and there are, of course, selection criteria and all this. So every year, right, we will select a maximum of 9 people to receive the award. So you can imagine that, one of the criteria obviously is that you have to be perhaps active in the International Trading Club, be involved in trying to get students to the program, be involved in some of the events that we organize, like career fair, for example, commodity trading fun fair and all those things, okay? And then, of course, we also give out a book prize for scholarly achievements, right? So the best student, right, will get a book prize, and this will be given out during convocation, all right? So we want to recognize students who do well, all right, academically as well. So, the book prize is $1,000. So there are a lot of things wrapped around the program, right? And you get a lot of support from the center, right? That, of course, is strongly behind this program. So that's all I have. I'm open for questions, right? If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, then I will perhaps like to pass the time to, we do have some student ambassador here, right, who perhaps will be able to give you their personal experience and a better color or more color to the program from a student's perspective. Right. If we don't have any question, perhaps I can start to get the students to share a little bit. Why don't we have Hui Ting first? Hui Ting, do you need the slides or?
No, it's okay.
Okay, why don't I stop sharing? Okay, then we can Hui Ting come in and. So Hui Ting is from our maritime studies.
So I'm actually for maritime studies right now, and I'm taking a major in business, and of course I'm specializing in international trading also. So I think I started out mostly like everyone. I didn't really know what international trading was about, and when I first heard about it, I just assumed that it was trading internationally as implied by its name. But there's actually a lot more to it than just that, as Boon King just actually identified. So it focuses mainly on the trade of commodities across the supply chain and more. So how I actually got to know this was, and why I decided to specialize in ITP was because of my experience at a talk done by a trading company, one of the trading partners that he just mentioned as well, called Trafigura. So they actually gave a lot of insights on what Trafigura was about, as well as just what international trading was in general. So I got to know what the difficulties as well as challenges traders face. And I guess because of my nature of kind of liking challenges itself, it kind of sparked an interest in me. And then I just decided to went to look for some opportunities in the sector. And coincidentally, my course, which is maritime studies, actually gave me an opportunity to do so. So that's basically why I joined ITP. And so far, it has been nothing short on my expectations. I think I really enjoyed one of the things that you as well as me, I think will really enjoy is actually the classes. So for ITP, it's actually very special and like different from a lot of other classes because most of the lecturers that come for the classes right, are actually people working in the industry right now. So it's actually some of the lecturers are those that are in our trading partners right now, and they tend to make classes very interesting in the sense that we get to hear a lot of real life or practical situations, not just the theory itself. And it's interesting to the extent that even though like my class is at 8:30 a.m. in the morning and it's online, I actually never seem to feel very sleepy because the stories or things that they kind of talk about tend to be very eye-opening. And this benefited me in the sense that a lot of us tend to worry about the fact that what we learn in school may not actually be applicable in our future work. But I think in this case, you can be rest assured because they are always applying and updating the theories and linking it very clearly to the current affairs. And aside from this, I think it really helped to broaden my knowledge and better understand certain areas in my course, especially maritime studies. Because if you are really going to take maritime studies, a majority of goods that are shipped by ship transport is commodities, and this will really help you. So if you're coming to maritime studies or have a strong interest in commodities or just generally like to challenge yourself, I really highly encourage you to specialize in ITP because I think it will really be an enjoyable and beneficial experience for you. So yeah, that's basically it. Would my other friends like to share their experiences as well? Because there are other people that are also taking ITP, but just in other courses. I think there's Daniel. He's from engineering. Would you like to take over?
So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Lan Yu, or you can call me Daniel as well. I'm from mechanical engineering and got a second major in business. I'm specializing in ITP. I'm in year 3 now. So the reason why I chose to join ITP was, well, first of all, I've always been interested in business studies. And I just wanted to learn more about commodity markets and trading. But when I went online to look for learning resources, there weren't a lot available really. So when I found out that the school offers this well-structured and comprehensive international trading program, I decided to just take the opportunity to join. And I'm really happy I made that decision because I think the courses offered in ITP are definitely more specialized than some of the general business modules. And personally, I find them more interesting. So one of the things that I really enjoy about the ITP courses, like Hui Ting just said, is because it's really the fact that they're taught by industry professionals, because they offer their unique and often latest insights into the industries. So it's just really interesting to hear them talk about their work experiences. And personally, for me, taking ITP courses are also a good change of scene from engineering courses. I got to work with, you get to meet a lot of students from different majors, like business majors or maritime majors. And you really get to learn a lot by just working with them. And I think lastly, I would like to mention just joining the International Trading Club. And I joined the club and I served on the education team. Basically, what we do is research and sharing the research. And really, that drove me to just learn a lot outside of school as well, by myself on different topics. And in that process, I think it's just, yeah, well, in that process, you know, you get to hone a lot of your skills. Like apart from research skills, you get to hone your leadership or organizing or networking skills. And for me, it's really fulfilling to just help other ITP students by sharing research insights or organizing school events like this. So yeah, really enjoy, you know, being ITP. Yeah, I think, is there another someone else also sharing?
Someone actually asked a question. So she asked us whether we both chose to do a second major in ITP upon admission into NTU. We didn't. There's actually not a second major in ITP, but rather than there's a second major in business. Then afterwards, we specialize in ITP. For me, I actually kind of wanted to go to ITP before I even came in, but I only got the choice to specialize maybe after year one. Then I got the choice. Then for Daniel, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I didn't really think about joining when I was in year one, but I think it's just I kind of got interested in trading and stuff, and you know, I got kind of exposed to stuff like futures contracts and stuff, and then commodities, and that's how I got like kind of into this. And I found out about this program, so I basically got interested in joining. Yeah, and that was in second year as well, which I basically get to choose the specialization option.
Oh, but Agnes, you can also know that some of our friends also actually chose to do a minor in ITP, so it was upon the admission into NTU as well. So yeah, there are some people who know it beforehand already.
Yeah, just to add to what Hui Ting said, essentially, that's quite right, right? What we need to do, what you need to do if you plan to minor in ITP is to express you got to register your interest. So you got to state that, look, I want to minor in ITP. So that's for minor. So for example, right, if you are coming to NTU, not admitted or not doing a double major in business, if you are coming to engineering and you're not double majoring in business, then you still want to do a minor in ITP, then you have to register that, look, I want to minor in ITP, so that we are able to plan out, right, the entire so-called program to include those students who are minoring in ITP. Okay. Okay. If not, then why don't we move on to Angshan, before we see if there are any other questions.
Hi, my name is Angshan and I'm a year 3 business student specializing in ITP. As you guys all know, ITP is one of the tracks under business and finance, and why I choose ITP was because I wanted to learn more about commodities trading, like what Daniel said, as well as the trading value chain of the different commodities industries such as metal, oil, and agriculture. So when we look around us, right, there's actually a lot of commodities all around us, from gasoline in car petrol to nickel and other metal parts that can be found in cars. So these refined products are formed through a very complicated process, and through learning in ITP and all the different ITP mods, we get to learn how crude oil, for example, can be cracked to form car petrol that we can use. Other than all the supply chain information, specializing in ITP also allowed me to have a better vision and better view on why oil prices as well as agriculture product prices changes over time. What I enjoyed from ITP was that there was a lot of mods in ITP curriculum, like what both of them said, that actually hired professors who have actually different commodities industry experience to teach us that we have to teach us so that we have a better learning experience. Such experience is actually quite rare, because in school we learn the stuff that we learn are actually used every year, but in commodity trading as well as ITP, all the information are newest and up to date as as latest as 2021. So some of the things that we learn include like the different commodity markets, the fundamentals, the risks involved in actually trading in commodities, as well as the different companies such as those in ship chartering and the maritime. I feel the ITP curriculum gives us a very big picture and a bigger picture of the commodity industry as a whole. And if you're interested in commodity trading, you should sign up for ITP. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you, Daniel, Hui Ting, and Angshan. This, of course, just to add on a bit, we do have good corporate support. Companies have been very active in engaging our students, in engaging the program. And this is relatively unique, I would say, for any program in the university. Okay, so we're still open for questions. So does NTU offer full scholarship for international students? The question is, does NTU offers full scholarship for international students as well as credit transfer? This is more of an administrative question, which I can't really, unless some of you have some experience, Daniel or Hui Ting, or do you guys have some experience with respect to full scholarships as well as credit transfer? Okay, I would say the following, okay? Within CEIT, okay, we do have bursaries that are sponsored directly by our corporate partners. So, for example, Shell, right, offers scholarship to our students. Wilma, for example, offers overseas scholarship. All right. So what it means is that you take on an internship with Wilma. You may be sent to Myanmar, for example. You may be sent to their subsidiary or their company in Africa or in China, right? And they call it the Wilma Scholarship. And so what happened is that you work there for 6 months, right? And additionally, you get paid, right, for your living expenses, and you're given a stipend and all these things. So there are companies who specifically sponsor, right, all these scholarships as well, that are with the CEIT group of corporate partners. So with respect to the university, I'm sure if you are a foreigner, if you're coming in and you apply for scholarship, I'm sure there are various types of scholarships that you can get on. So we do have for example, the Nanyang scholarship, which I believe is a full scholarship. All right, and it's offered also for single degree student as well as double degree students. All right, and of course, like I said, right, with specific scholarships that are for given out by our corporate partners.
If you really for Agnes, if you would like to see more about sorry Sarah, if you like to see more about scholarships, you can actually search online. But I just saw, I think they do provide for international students itself.
Yeah. Okay, so if I am to admit to a single business, how do we register for interest? You will know, right? Once you are admitted, I'm sure there will be areas to specify whether you want to minor in ITP or not. Right? So there will be a place for you to check that you want to minor in ITP. All right. You don't choose your specialization until after you've completed your first year. So remember, there are two things here. The first one is about, do I specialize in ITP or do I minor in ITP? Okay, if you're specializing in anything, right, as far as NTU is concerned, you only start to do so in your second year. So when you come to the university in the first year, all right, you'll be doing a bunch of general courses. Right. Once you're done with general courses, depending on different specializations, some of them would have a certain type of criteria for you to get admitted into the program. So, for example, in banking and finance, as I mentioned earlier, you do need to have B+ or better, all right, for financial management, all right. But you can always do ITP as a minor. Right, in which case, of course, there are no specific criteria, right, except that you must complete the ITP courses. And I'd like to thank Daniel, Hui Ting, and Anson for helping out for this program. And I hope to see all of you in NTU. All right? Okay, have a good evening. Bye.